Welcome to Korean language learning course. Congratulations! If you have completed till lesson 5, you can now read everything and pronounce every word in Korean language. Up to here, you have successfully completed first and most important step of the fundamentals of Korean language. Before we shall begin with next step, here are some words for you to pronounce. Now, if you have followed all the lessons sincerely and all the rules stated in previous chapters, then these words won't be difficult for you to pronounce. These are all mixed from single syllable word to double consonant pachim disyllabic words. Besides, these are the words which will help you in your course of basic sentence formation. Even if you are not able to pronounce some of these properly or you have any doubt, don't worry. These words will be used over and over again in the coming lessons. So, 나무, 없다, 있다, 식사, 차, 전화, 책상, 앞, 위, 아래, 안, 밖, 뒤, 전, 후, 동, 서, 남, 북, 한국, 미국, 일본, 문, 읽다, 쌈, 심장, 마음, 가슴, 머리, 손, 눈, 발, 팔, 다리, 코, 이, 배, 오늘, 어제, 그저께, 내일, 모레, 올해, 작년, 내년, 쓰다, 안녕하세요, 먹다, 잃다, 있다, 그립다, 좋다, 나쁘다, 슬프다, 기쁘다, 작다, 짧다, 길다, 크다, 형, 오빠, 언니, 누나, 동생, 어머니, 아버지, 아들, 딸, 남자, 여자. So, as it was discussed in the introductory chapter, that Korean language follows SOV as a sentence structure, which means subject, object, and verb, which is unlike in English, because in English we follow subject, verb, and object pattern. Also, in Korean language, subject and the object has a related particles which has to be used accordingly. So since in the Korean language the sentence ending mostly goes on the verb, so verb is a very main thing in the sentence, because as we all know, the verb is the only thing that changes according to the tense, according to the grammar pattern. So let's first start with the verb. Now in any language, a verb is divided into two parts. One is called the root and the other one is called the stem. Now what is the difference between them? The stem never changes in the verb. It comes only when the verb is shown in its original form, in its raw form. But the root changes according to the grammar pattern when the verb is actually used in the sentence. So it's actually the root form which is the main. The stem is just to support the verb in its raw form. Let's make it clear through some examples. So in English, let's take these verbs to go, to do, to come. Now these I have written in their original form. As you can see, there's one part which is same in all the verbs, that is to. Now it is not necessary that the root should come first or whether the stem should come first. It all depends upon the language grammar pattern. So in English, the stem comes first because this part is removed when the actual verb is used. So the root part is go, do, and come. Now let's take the counterpart of these verbs in Korean. 가다, 하다, 오다. Now you can spot the similar point in these verbs as well. The stem form is same in all the verbs, which is da. So the root which changes according to the grammar pattern in the sentence is ka, ha, and o. These parts only attach with these parts only attach with the sentence and they change according to the patterns. Now if you know the Hindi language or you are Hindi language native, so you must be knowing that the Hindi language is very similar to Korean and so is the grammar. So let's take the counterpart of these verbs in Hindi. Now here also, even if you don't know Hindi language, you can very clearly see that these parts are same. So this is the stem part and the root part is this. So it is the root part only that combines with the sentence and it changes. So this way you can always compare with the different languages, that whatever part remains the same in all the verbs in the one language is its stem part, and the other part which attaches with the sentence and changes the pattern, changes the forms, that is the root part. So here are some examples of the verbs of Korean language and their counterparts in English as well as in Hindi, so that you can have a clear idea of what part is the stem and what part is the root. Khada, Mokta, Hada, Juda, Patta, Oda, Poda. For simple present tense, this is added to the verb root if there is no pachim in the root, and this is added to the verb root if there is a pachim in the root. For example, kamnida, which means go, moksumnida, which means eat, hamnida, which means do, chumnida, which means give, patsunda, which means get, omnida, which means come, pomnida, which means see. Equative verb, that is to be, is ida. There are two kinds of subject particles. One is e or ga. These are the normal subject particles for indicating a subject. E is attached to the subject when there is a pachim in the end. Ga is attached when there is a vowel in the end. For example, cheksang yi, chonha ga. So as you can see, in the first word, since there is a pachim, so e is attached as a subject particle, and the second word, since the word ends on the vowel, ga is attached as the subject particle. The other two particles are un and nun. They are not only used for the subject markers but also topic markers and for specifying a certain subject. Un is attached to the subject when it ends on a pachim, and nun is attached to the subject when it ends on the vowel. We go with the same example. 책상은 전화는. As we have come across the words in the previous chapters and glossary, we came to know that kot is used for thing, pun is used for person in respective situation. Another word for person is saram, which is used in simple usage or specifying a certain person but not in a respective situation. For person junior or lower to the first person in the post or age, instead of bun or saram, you can also use another form which is called myong. Let's see some prepositions now. E, which means this. Cha, which means that. Ku, that also means that if the subject is not actually visible while talking about it. E got, this thing. Cha got, that thing. Ku got, that thing. E bun, this person. Cha bun, that person. Ku bun, that person. Like e, cha and ku is they all mean the same whether they attach with the got or bun or anything else. For place, there are different prepositions. Yogi, which means here. Chogi, which means there. Kogi, which means there. Like just like k, this also means the place is not actually visible while talking about it. Now let's do a few short sentences. 이것은 책상입니다. The verb imnida always combined together with the equative word and hence should be pronounced together like in above sentence 책상입니다. This is a table. 저것이 전화입니다. That is a telephone. In simple sentence, whether the particle is e or ga or un or nun, it doesn't make any particular difference. We can also use 저것은 instead of 저것이 here. 이분이 swati입니다. This is Swati. Now here we're pronouncing a name. 저분은 디비아입니다. That is Divya. 그 사람이 학생입니다. That is a student. Usually when we mention a person by his or her profession, then it makes a difference of senior, junior by using bun or saram in addressing him or her. So in case like student, we are just assuming that the person is junior to us or lower to us in the age or the position. So we are addressing him as saram. 저분은 교수님입니다. He is a professor. Now, 교수 means professor. And when we address someone with respect, we add 님 at the end of his post. 이것이 나무입니다. This is a tree. When we say I or me in Korean language, there are two criteria. If the person we are talking to is to be given respect, then we lower ourselves by using 저 for ourselves. In case the person is junior to us in age or post, we uplift our status in front of him by using 나 for ourselves. 저는 학생입니다. I am a student. 나는 교수입니다. I am a professor. It should be noted that while saying I am a student, the person used 저는, which shows he's talking to someone elder or senior to him, like his father or teacher, etc. But in next case, the person is talking to someone junior to him, like his student or assistant, or someone who is younger to him or junior to him. So he uses 나는 to uplift himself in conversation. However, the respective particle 님 isn't used here, as he is talking about himself. Nim is a respective particle which always used for others. There are few more respective particles which are always used for others but never used for oneself, even if the second person is junior or younger. 여기가 도서관입니다. Here is a library. Now here we don't use this because now we are talking about a place. 저기가 극장입니다. There is a theater. We can also use 여기는, 저기는. It doesn't make any difference to the sentence, but as mentioned before, that they are specifiers, so used while specifying things in certain situations. For example, saying 여기가 도서관입니다 is a general sentence. But if you are guiding a tour in a campus and you have to specifically indicate a library to people, then you should better use 여기는. 은 or 는 are the particles which are used to put stress on the subject or topic of a conversation. We are going to continue with other kind of basic sentence formation in our next lesson. Till then, practice these basic patterns by putting different objects to it. You can choose words from glossary or from previous chapters. Take care. Thank you.